History remembers the icons, the empire builders, the brilliant tacticians, the leaders who shaped our world. We carve their faces into stone and write their names into legend. We call them heroes, saviors, the architects of the world we live in today. But what if the heroes we celebrate were secretly monsters? What if their greatest triumphs were built on a foundation of corruption, cruelty, and breathtaking hypocrisy? What if the hands that signed peace treaties also ordered atrocities, ruining millions of lives for their own personal gain? Tonight, we're peeling back the layers of myth to reveal the shocking, uncomfortable truth. We're presenting the damning evidence of their dark deeds, forcing you to question everything you thought you knew. These are the good leaders who were, in fact, terrible people. Number 5. Andrew Jackson. The people's president. Coming in at number 5 is Andrew Jackson, the 7th president of the United States. He's remembered as the quintessential American hero, the champion of the common man, the victor of the Battle of New Orleans, a founder of the Democratic Party. To his supporters, he was a symbol of rugged democracy, a man who fought corruption and stood up for the ordinary citizen. But there's a brutal, bloody side to Jackson's legacy that often gets glossed over in the textbooks. His vision for America came at a devastating cost, and that cost was paid by those he didn't consider the people. Jackson aggressively pursued a policy of Indian removal. This policy, formalized in the Indian Removal Act of 1830, gave the government the power to forcibly displace Native American tribes from their ancestral homes in the southeastern United States, all to make way for white settlers. The forced relocations happened primarily throughout the 1830s under Jackson and his successor. The result was the infamous Trail of Tears. Between 1830 and 1850, an estimated 60,000 people from the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole nations were marched west at gunpoint. They suffered from starvation, disease, and brutal exposure. It's estimated that over 4,000 Cherokee men, women, and children died on this forced march, alone nearly a quarter of their entire population. The man hailed as a champion of democracy was, for thousands, an agent of ethnic cleansing. His policies left a permanent scar on the nation, a sorrowful legacy that stands in stark contrast to his heroic image. Number 4. Winston Churchill, the savior of Europe. At number 4 is a man many consider the greatest Briton of all time. Winston Churchill. His name evokes images of defiance, of a bulldog resolve, as he stood almost alone against the Nazi war machine. His powerful speeches rallied a nation and inspired the free world. There's no question his leadership during World War II was instrumental in the Allied victory. But if you turn your gaze from Europe to the British Empire, the picture of Churchill becomes much, much darker. He was a staunch, unapologetic imperialist who held deeply racist views. He referred to Indians as a beastly people with a beastly religion and despised their movement for independence. He even advocated for using poisoned gas against uncivilized tribes. These weren't just ugly words. They had catastrophic consequences. During the 1943 Bengal famine, up to 3 million people starved to death, while a cyclone and the Japanese invasion of Burma were contributing factors. Critics argued Churchill's policies made the crisis far worse. His government repeatedly diverted food from India to British soldiers and to build up stockpiles for European nations. When pressed to send aid, Churchill reportedly scoffed, blaming the Indians for breeding like rabbits, and asking why, if the famine was so bad, Gandhi was still alive. The savior of Europe was, in the eyes of millions in the colonies, a symbol of oppression whose actions contributed to an unimaginable tragedy. Number 3. Richard Nixon, the global strategist. Our third entry is Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States. Nixon was a truly complex and brilliant political figure. He ended the Vietnam War, opened historic relations with Communist China, and founded the Environmental Protection Agency. He was such a formidable strategist that he won a landslide re-election in 1972. But lurking behind that success was a deep-seated paranoia and a frightening willingness to break the law. This led, of course, to one of the most infamous political scandals in history, Watergate. It started on June 17, 1972, when 5 men working for Nixon's re-election campaign were caught breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters to steal documents and plant bugs. What followed wasn't just a cover-up. It was a full-blown conspiracy, orchestrated from the very top. Nixon and his aides paid hush money to the burglars, ordered the CIA to block the FBI's investigation, and committed perjury. It was a staggering abuse of presidential power. For 2 years, Nixon denied everything, But thanks to relentless investigative journalism, the truth slowly dripped out. The discovery of secret White House tapes eventually provided the smoking gun, proving he was in on the cover-up. Facing certain impeachment, Richard Nixon became the only U.S. president ever to resign from office on August 9, 1974. His legacy is forever stained, a cautionary tale of how the hunger for power can corrupt even the most brilliant leaders. These stories show just how easily history can be sanitized, hiding the monstrous acts behind the monuments. It's a pattern you see again and again. If you believe it's important to keep exposing these hidden truths, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next investigation. Number 2. King Leopold II, the philanthropist king. Moving to number 2 is a name you might not know, but whose crimes are among the most horrific in modern history. King Leopold II of Belgium. In the late 19th century, Leopold presented himself to the world as a great humanitarian. He founded the Congo Free State, a massive territory in Central Africa, supposedly to civilize the natives and end the slave trade. The European powers at the Berlin Conference of 1884-85 actually recognized his claim, completely buying his story. But it was all a monstrous lie. The Congo Free State wasn't a philanthropic mission. It was Leopold's personal property, 80 times the size of Belgium, which he ruled with absolute terror. His real goal was to bleed the land dry of its wealth, mostly rubber and ivory. He created a private army, the Force Publique, to turn the entire state into a massive labor camp. Congolese people were forced into labor with impossible quotas. If you failed to deliver your share of rubber, the punishment was unimaginable. Villages were burned. Families were held hostage. The most infamous practice was mutilation. Soldiers would sever the hands of living workers as proof they hadn't wasted bullets. While the exact numbers are debated due to a lack of records, estimates of the death toll during his rule range from 1.5 million up to 13 million. This wasn't leadership. It was a genocide funded by greed and hidden behind the mask of charity. Number 1. Mao Zedong and Joseph Stalin, the communist titans for our number 1 spot. It's a tie between two of the 20th century's most formidable and destructive leaders, China's Mao Zedong and the Soviet Union's Joseph Stalin. Both men forged powerful nations out of chaos. Stalin led the Soviet Union to victory over Nazism in World War II, transforming it into a global superpower. Mao Zedong unified China after a century of humiliation, and is seen by many as the father of the modern nation. But the scale of their monstrosity is almost beyond comprehension. They built their new worlds on mountains of corpses. Joseph Stalin's Great Purge in the 1930s was a campaign of political terror designed to crush all opposition. High-ranking officials, artists, and ordinary peasants alike were arrested, tortured into false confessions, executed, or sent to the Gulag labor camps. The total death toll from Stalin's policies of repression, forced labor, and famine is estimated to be as high as 20 million people. In China, Mao Zedong's policies were just as catastrophic. His Great Leap Forward, an attempt to rapidly industrialize the country between 1958 and 1962, was an act of supreme arrogance. He forced peasants into communes and ordered them to make steel in backyard furnaces, sometimes by melting down their own farming tools. This led to one of the deadliest famines in human history. As crops failed, Mao refused to admit his plan was a disaster or accept foreign aid. Scholarly estimates of the dead range from 15 million to as high as 55 million people. These weren't just leaders with the dark side. They were architects of death on a scale that defies imagination, proving that the power to build a nation can also be the power to destroy its people. From Andrew Jackson's brutal removals to the man-made famines of Mao and Stalin, the line between hero and villain is often terrifyingly thin. Public achievements can mask private evil, and the leaders we retaught to admire can be the same people responsible for history's greatest crimes. The stories are complex, the legacies are stained, and the truth is rarely as simple as we wish it was. It forces us to ask, should we separate the leader from the person? And can great achievements ever wash away the stain of horrific deeds? Which historical figure on this list surprised you the most? Are there others you think belong here? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to keep digging into the darker side of history, be sure to check out our next video, where we explore the shocking secrets of the world's most powerful royal families. Thanks for watching.